What's up, everybody? It's your favorite FPL YouTubers back at it with another Game Week preview and analysis video. This time for Game Week 34. It should be exciting, and it's also our first live studio episode, so that's pretty exciting. And yeah, I'm Jarrett.
I'm Evan.
And I'm this week's guest host, Francois.
Francois will be doing extra stat analysis and game predictions for this game week. So yeah, let's get into it.
And this is how to FPL. All right, yeah, so my team has done pretty well this week. Got the returns from the Liverpool defenders. Laporte, nice clean sheet there. The Salah captain was very clutch. Saka had a cheese pen, but we'll take it. And then Veghorst finally scored, which was great to see. So yeah, pretty happy with my team's performance. I think I started the week in like 70,000 overall or so, and I'm up into the 40s, which is pretty awesome. So
yeah,
and moving in the right direction.
And that I think the one slip up that you actually were like deliberating on so much last week was the Foden versus Pereira, which definitely didn't turn out in your favor. But I think everything else this week for you turned out like well in your favor, especially the Salah captain decision. Because again, he was at like 5% on last week's captain poll.
Yeah,
I don't know how many people actually captained him. But
and at the same time, Pereira had a clean sheet until like the 92nd minute in that second game, so it was kind of unlucky, honestly.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, kudos to you. Well done. Should we move on? So this is my team. I didn't do so hot because I went against my own advice from last week, and I decided not to captain Salah. And Kane just shit the bed this week, to be honest, and Spurs in general. I think I underestimated Brighton's defensive abilities. But yeah, besides that, I did get several defensive returns, so that was nice. Dubravka has been great to have. And again, Saka, whether or not the pen was deserved, he scored it.
Yeah, I think I'd like to add on that as much as Evan underestimated Brighton's defending ability, he also completely overestimated Spurs' attacking ability. Kane was never going to get any points. Captaining him was a very controversial decision on Evan's part.
Yeah, well, Francois is in fact an Arsenal fan, if you can't tell.
Let's go.
And we will definitely be getting his input about more stuff. And also, we all just watched... Adams has already missed several chances since coming on. I have to get rid of him. He's a disgrace. But anything else to add, guys?
What about that rank movement?
Oh, and the rank movement. Yeah, I dropped. It's a shame. It was going to happen, but I guess, again, it could be worse. I didn't drop more than 5K or so, at least thus far. So looking forward to next week. And now we have the clean sheet odds. Maguire certainly could get a clean sheet this week, although he might have some other issues he has to deal with. But anything that stands out to you guys here?
Yeah, I think Maguire is going to be a tough choice coming up against Arsenal after we just scored 4 goals last game week, and Kedia coming in strong this weekend. We'll hope for another hat-trick or 2 goals or more.
Really explosive player, for sure.
Some pretty high clean sheet odds there, though. Like, this could definitely be a game week where having defenders from those top 3 teams could pay dividends, which is exactly how I set up my team. So I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, I think Chelsea against West Ham is going to be a massive game this game week.
Yeah, no, that'll be a big game. And Chelsea United as well, midweek. Will be interesting just to see with Ronaldo playing, if he plays, whether they can bounce back from what happened last week. I don't know, Francois or Jarrett, any thoughts about Spurs' chances of a clean sheet? This says 36%, but they are playing Brentford, Christian Eriksen. So
yeah, I think we talked about it a little bit before the podcast, but we believe that Christian Eriksen's going to come back, maybe score a direct free kick or 2. Come back tough against a Spurs team that he's going to be wanting to prove himself in.
Could be an Ivan Toney masterclass as well.
Indeed. Anything else here that stands out?
I don't think so, no.
All right, let's get going. Yeah, so here's this week's captain poll, and this week is interesting just because of the Chelsea double game week. You do have people like Mount. Mount has been increasing in ownership recently, and he's getting to the point where he's a player that could punish you if you don't have him, just with his ownership. And obviously he leads the captain poll. But yeah, we've got Salah in there as always. Havertz. Any thoughts?
Yeah, it's interesting to see both Mount and Havertz up there, depending on who you think will score for Chelsea. Werner also a good call as well. Could be tough between choosing one of those three. I think Ronaldo, him coming back off a missed game week could also be interesting as well. He's done well in the past, scored 3 goals against Spurs, but I think Arsenal will be able to keep him down to at least under a goal.
I think it is interesting that there are no Spurs players in the captain.
Yeah, always nice to see.
Yeah. But I do wonder if that's a little bit of like recency bias. Like, yeah, they couldn't score against Brighton, but I could see Spurs putting a couple past Brentford. I don't know. Their defense, I don't think, has been the very greatest, even though they've been scoring goals.
Yeah, I think captaincy is going to be pretty spread out this week, so there could be some pretty big rank movements if you pick the right person.
For sure. What do you guys think of Salah captain for this week?
I think that's a pretty safe choice, to be honest. I mean, Everton are obviously in a relegation battle right now. Salah just showed who he is against Man United. So
Yeah, I think people could be sleeping on him if he's only second in this captain poll at 20%. I think it could be a similar situation to last week.
Yeah, also surprised not to see a Luis Diaz or a Sadio Mane up there as well. I think between the three of them, they've all been playing very well. And whether or not Salah gets the goal or Luis Diaz does, it could be a close call.
For sure.
100%.
And with that, I think that's a great segue into our goal scorer odds for this week. Because, well, that's interesting because Luis Diaz, I think it might be expected to be benched this week. I'm not sure because Jota's up there, but you never know with them. But yeah, Salah, Mahrez up there. Any thoughts? Sterling.
Yeah, interesting to see all the City players. They score a lot of goals, but they all come from different players, and you never really know who's going to score. De Bruyne up there, 37% is also high as well. Right beside Foden.
And Sterling has a good record versus Watford, I heard. So
yeah,
if you have him this week, he could be a good shout. But the problem is fitting him in your team with someone like Salah already there. A lot of people have Son. Some people are going for KDB. So it's hard.
Yeah, I think a bit surprising not to see any Arsenal players. I think Nketiah should be up there as well as Saka. Coming off a great game week and looking to continue that form.
I think it's interesting that there aren't any Chelsea players really near the top. Like Lukaku's on there, but we all know he shouldn't be on there. And then Havertz and Mount are on there, but they're towards the bottom. So that's interesting, given that they have a double against two teams that aren't really defending that well in West Ham and United.
That is interesting. I think with Mount, the argument could be made that he has a higher threat of assists than goals. So it's not necessarily that all of his points will be coming from goals, but even despite that, you'd think that, any of them, Havertz, Lukaku, Mount, and also Jarrett, we'll get to this in a minute, but Werner's not even on this list. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's probably biased.
Yeah. All right. Jarrett, what's your team looking like?
Let's go. I'm so excited. So I honestly, actually, I'm not going to say it because I feel like every time I gas up my team, they underperform. So I'm, going to wait and see what happens with my team this week. But I've got some good players with good fixtures, so I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. I've got the Liverpool triple up there. Excited to see what they can do to Everton. 2 City players home against Watford, I think, which could definitely get some points.
It looks juicy.
I brought in 3 Chelsea players and am captaining Werner this week, so I'm kind of all in on Chelsea this week, which is very exciting, I think. But yeah, and then I'm playing Saka and Rafinha. They've both been in pretty good form. We could get some points there. Made the decision to start Sanchez instead of Ramsdale, just because I feel like being home against Southampton is definitely a better fixture than home against Man United. So.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's brings up a good question, which is, what do we think of Arsenal's prospects both this game week and in the future? Is someone like Ramsdale, Martinelli, even Saka, someone that you want to want to keep going forward? Are you looking to transfer them out eventually? Like, what do we think?
I think Saka's been a solid performer, very consistent over the whole season. He's going to want to look to finish the season strong and carry Arsenal to a fourth place finish, which will happen. So I think this next game, he's just going to continue to prove himself. Martinelli on the bench, interesting choice, but he's also going to be interesting to see whether he starts the next game and the few tough fixtures that Arsenal have. This will be a big deciding point in Saka's season.
For sure.
I'm excited to see what happens.
Nice. Yeah, this looks like a great team, Jarrett, and we'll get to mine in a second. But I'm pretty scared looking at this, knowing that you're like just a few points off of me at this point after this most recent game week.
I'm coming for that title.
Yeah. So that being said, I'm not scared at all of the Werner captain. That will probably make him score now, but that doesn't scare me in the slightest. So this is my team. I have not made my transfers yet. I'm holding out until the deadline to deliberate a little more, wait for any injury updates, especially on Rudiger, who obviously got a groin injury before the last game. That was super unfortunate because obviously it would be really nice to just have him in my team coming for this Chelsea game, double game week. But unfortunately, that's not how it played out, and it seems like he's unlikely to play in the West Ham game. I'll probably end up getting rid of him for another premium defender, but who that is a huge question mark. It will likely be a Chelsea defender, so Alonso or James. But I also don't have Trent, who's playing Everton at home, and I've definitely been missing out on him the past few weeks, and I don't feel willing to miss out on him for too much longer. So that's really my dilemma, is who to bring in. And then I also want to bring in Mount for one of my mid-price midfielders. But that's another dilemma because Saka could keep doing well. Kulusevski has only gone one game without like a return in the past several. Zaha is on pens playing Leeds at home. So I'm definitely in a sticky situation. And then I also have to get rid of Adams. But everything's up in the air right now. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts about this team. But
interesting to see a heavy investment in Spurs players, considering they haven't scored last game or very much in the past few games. So we'll see if you decide to stick with that or sub out someone like Kulusevski and keep Saka in the team.
Might be a wise decision.
Might be a wise decision.
I think that you have a lot of players that could still score really well. So I think you're being a little hard on yourself right now.
Yeah. You know what? We'll see how it turns out. And like you said, it seems like those game weeks that we expect a lot of points, things end up going to shit. And some of the game weeks that just looks like another average game week is when you end up getting your highest returns of the season. So we shall see. But with that, I think we will wrap it up.
That being said, make sure to like and subscribe, hit that bell button so you don't miss any of our videos, and make sure to go interact with us on Instagram and Twitter at how_2FPL. It's lit.
Yeah,
That's right.
Thanks for having me on as a guest this week.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, Francois. We really benefited from your high level analysis here.
Thank you. We'll get to enjoy this next game week with a lot of good fixtures, and we'll see what happens.
Yep. See you guys next week.
Bye.